All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our District Administration Web Seminar here today, which is entitled Busting the Learning Loss Myth, Why Virtual Students at College Park Academy Are Thriving, which is brought to you by the generous support of our sponsor here today, Pearson. Now, before we get started, I would just like to share just a few housekeeping items. If at any time you need any technical support today, please use the chat panel, which you can find is on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Then select on my name, and that's either Stephen Blackburn or host, and then just type in your message, and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. I'm also about to submit a phone number and access code in the chat that you can dial in at any time if you want to listen in privately, or if you don't have any speakers, so look out for that as well. For today's webinar, we will also be welcoming any questions that you have today, and that will take place with a Q&A session, and that will be happening at the end of the presentation. You can submit a question at any time during the presentation by using the Q&A panel. And again, you can access that. It's on the lower right-hand side of your screen, and then send your questions to all panelists. If you currently don't see the chat or the Q&A panels at this time, just again, look to the bottom right-hand side of your screen, and then just click on the expand triangle, and that will show you if I have access to it. Also, the last thing I'd like to point out, and we'll get right to the webinar, is that if you would like to access what you're seeing today at a later time, you'll be pleased to know that all of you who are here and everyone who registered, you will all receive an email with a link to the slides, as well as an archive recording. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our speakers that we have with us today. We have Dr. Sandy Abu Arja, who is the Executive Director at College Park Academy. Also from College Park Academy, we have Stephen Baker, who is one of their principals there. Also with us, we have Dr. Alyssa Walters, who is the Director of Efficacy and Research at Pearson Virtual Schools, and Mary Beth Talenko, who is the District Partnership Specialist at Pearson. Well, hi everyone, and great to have you with us here today. This will be great. Thank you very much. All right, you may now begin.
Thanks, Steve. Do I have control?
Yes, you have control now. Yep.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mary Beth Talenko. I am with Pearson, and I'm super excited to have some of my partners here today. Dr. Abu Arja and Mr. Baker from College Park Academy, and then of course, Dr. Walters from Pearson as well. Before we get started, what I'd like to do is actually, let's see, have a little poll. I'd love to know who you all are. First of all, Steve, if you can throw these up, we'd like to know who you are, what your role is within the district. So if you can click on that and let us know. And then the second question is, where are you in the launch or the management of your virtual program or your virtual school? Are you, did you launch because of COVID? Are you thinking about launching a school this year? Are you gathering information and preparing for next year? Or are you one of the OGs, just an experienced virtual program provider? If you can share a little bit of information, we would really appreciate it. We'll give you just a moment to do that, and then we'll get started.
Okay, the results should be up.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I am actually going to turn this over to Dr. Abu Arja and Mr. Baker to talk a little bit about College Park Academy.
Thank you so much for having us. We're really delighted to share our partnership with Pearson as well as our experience with other district administrators. So College Park Academy, the vision for the partnership in 2012 came about, and the key players were the University of Maryland, the City of College Park, Prince George's County Public Schools, and Pearson. And today we are ready to celebrate our success and the longevity of this vision We took an idea and we made it a reality. Mary Beth, can you? Thank you. So for our mission, I don't know if you're familiar with our program, but College Park Academy provides all students with the opportunity to accelerate their learning or pace themselves so that they can earn up to 60 college credits by the end of their career at College Park Academy. And we not only provide them with rigorous academics, we also provide them with opportunities through our signature program, which are like mini majors. So the students get a taste of what their careers will be in the future. And I'd like to share our famous Mr. Baker, our middle school principal, to share a little bit about our school model.
Thank you, Dr. Abu-Arja, and welcome to everyone. Thank you for having me today. I'm the middle school principal here at College Park Academy. In the pictures that you're seeing on your screen now on this slide are our rooms with our kids here at the school during the best of times. Obviously during COVID, just like everyone else in the country, we were at home doing this exclusively virtual. But in the left-hand picture there, you see a classroom that is actually with a face-to-face teacher. So that's English Language Arts for 6th grade. And we're using the Pearson curriculum, but we do have face-to-face teachers for some of our classes like language arts. And then on the right-hand side, you see Ms. Chung, who's one of our success coaches. And one of our models here with the success coaches is the success coach acts as a liaison between the students, the virtual teacher, as well as the student's parents. And what Ms. Chung does, she's not necessarily a content specialist. So she may be gathered here with some students who are maybe taking Spanish as a language. And in this same classroom, she might have 5 students that are taking French, 5 students that are taking Mandarin, 5 students that are taking German. And she's not a content specialist, but she's getting them together to either review a live lesson that the virtual teacher through Pearson has presented, or maybe even helping them get in on their notes or meet with the virtual teacher for the class. So that's how our school model looks at the best of times. Again, during COVID times, everybody was at home, and we continued this model that you see here in person virtually.
So for our CPA strategic goals, as with any school, we were striving to continue the best we could during the pandemic, and we continued on in a great fashion. We always promote for our students to achieve dual enrollment so that they are prepared for the university. We also provide professional development for our administrators and educators, and we are fundraising for future plans of expansion. So we're really proud, with the last 2 grade levels, we were not able to celebrate our graduates in person. So we had hybrid graduations, which were celebratory, and we're always proud of our graduates. But with the class of 2022, we were able to go back to the University of Maryland and celebrate our students in great pride. And as you can see, we have a 98% graduation rate, and our students still achieved great heights of scholarships. They were awarded over $2 million in scholarships to some of the best universities. This was the first year we had a student accepted at the University of Pennsylvania Wharton School of Business. We were really proud of her success. We also had a student who achieved a 4-year scholarship at the University of Maryland. So you have to think of what all these students have gone through over the past 2 years. And those were the prime years for them to be together, in high school, and they still achieve great heights thanks to our digitized curriculum, being able to support them along the way with, like Mr. Baker said, our success coaches, our student advocates, and our principals to help them achieve this.
Sandy, that's That's pretty fantastic. We've been working with you and your team for 7 years, I believe. And every single time we get together, I hear and learn something new. Tell me a little bit, like this is great data, but tell me a little bit about the demand for enrollment at CPA, the retention rate of your students. Like, do you have kids that just kind of come in for a year and leave, or do they stay for their middle school and high school career?
Yes, I mean, we are very fortunate. We have a long waiting list. We are a lottery, so the parents who take the time to fill out that application and get into our school, we're very fortunate they stay. So they're usually, we have a low turnover rate for student and pretty much a zero turnover rate for our staff. So everyone's happy here. It's a safe and happy environment. We have around 9 applicants for every seat. And we're starting to see that we have more retention in the high school. Before we would have grade 8 going to grade 9, students going to specialty schools. And so now that we're seeing our retention, our high school numbers are increasing. And I think that's due to us proving our skill set in the digitized platform and being able to enter through COVID, help other teachers around Maryland to do the same thing, and then transition back to hybrid and then back into the building where we have our blended learning approach.
Oh, I mean, the whole purpose of this webinar is to share how we're busting these myths, right? We hear every day that COVID slide, kids aren't performing well, et cetera, et cetera. And this really shows that your kids are thriving. They were in a blended environment, they went virtual, now they're back to their blended environment, and look at what they're doing. I mean, Penn, Wharton, 4-year scholarship to Maryland. That's fantastic.
Yes, and I think coupled with the rigorous academics, we also have the support. So we are, providing our counselors, we're providing our student support, our success coaches, and Mr. Baker, I don't know if he gets to rest at all because he is so accessible and supports the students and the staff and the families.
Huh. Mr. Baker,
Thank
tell us
you.
what this crazy slide says.
Yeah, absolutely. So not only just to piggyback on your point a little bit, Mary Beth, of over the pandemic years, not only were our students maintaining, they were actually accelerating throughout that time too. And this is our acceleration data. So this is numbers of students who are taking accelerated courses, which would mean above grade level work from where they are. So for example, if I show you here or if you're looking at this slide, the blue all the way over to the left is our 6th grade. And you can see the numbers increasing of students in that grade level who are coming to us and who are able to accelerate. It takes a lot of work. You'll notice that as you matriculate through the grades, like 7th and 8th grade, these are students who have been with us now for 2 or 3 years, and we can accelerate them even more in other classes. What we've noticed is getting some of our students from these elementary schools, we do take in students who are actually performing below grade level. We have a very robust summer program that we make sure to push our students to catch up and be ready for this acceleration model. And then as they matriculate with us in 7th, 8th, 9th grade and beyond, they're able to take more higher level courses, APs, dual enrollment courses, and you can see some of that data. And what you don't see here, what I think you see across the board a lot through the pandemic, is a drop off in some of these accelerated classes. You actually see an increase during that time because our students, our teachers, and our staff just kept pushing and making sure that they were committed to this acceleration. And well, one of the main reasons we're able to do this too is just the amazing amount of course offerings that we get through Pearson, both in the electives and face-to-face classes as well.
So the 8th grade bars, that's students taking high school courses? Are those 8th graders taking 9th grade courses?
Yeah, that's correct. So most of those 8th graders that you see there would, that yellow bar that you do see going across your screen and increasing quickly there with big numbers, most of those students are taking high school level mathematics as well as high school level lab sciences.
And in a brick and mortar, that's really challenging to do because you're not necessarily sending an 8th grader over to the high school for a course. So this kind of blended model, this virtual curriculum model really does help support that. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Here, I just wanted to show a graphic of our AP courses. So in Prince George's County, just to go back to a little bit of what Dr. Abu Arja was saying, we're a school that's really still in our infancy. We opened in 2013, and here we are today in school year 2023, and we are already in the U.S. News and World Report's second-rated high school in the entire county. We're only behind Eleanor Roosevelt High School, which is very, very well known for their science and tech programs here in the county. And we're catching them, and we're going to pass them this year in those rankings. But as you see here, these are some of the AP data that we've had. We've made a major push, and we've been able to do this because of all of the AP offerings that we're able to offer through Pearson. We can compete with the largest schools in the county, even though we're one of the smallest, because we can offer some of our AP courses virtually as well as with our face-to-face classes. What I want to show you over on the right under the school summary, you'll notice the number of exams row from 2018 to 2022. So in 2018, that's around when Mr. Libby and I, the high school principal, took over as dual principals here at College Park Academy, both a high school and middle school principal. You can see the push that we've made. That's been on me too, with accelerating kids in middle school to prepare them for AP level work. And as you see at the bottom of the slide, every single College Park Academy high school student last year and then this year too is taking an AP course at College Park Academy. So now our goal is to move that little bit of stagnation that you see over on the left-hand side there of 3s and above. Typically a 3 and above is going to give you college credit. Our job now is to push more of our students to get 3s and above, the percentage of them, even though you see on the right-hand side too, the AP students with scores of 3 and above has been increasing every year. Our percentages stayed a little stagnant just because there's so many more students taking AP courses at College Park Academy, which we're really proud of.
This is pretty impressive data. One of the things you and I have also talked about is how your students compare to other students in Maryland. You know, I think every district across the country compares themselves to other districts that surround them. For those of you who don't know the landscape in Maryland, Montgomery and Howard counties are some of the nation's top performing districts. Steve, I'd love for you to share a little bit about how your kids do compared to their peers.
Yeah, if you look and across the nation, some of these high stakes state tests have been suspended over the past few years, but we're really excited to get back to it this year and continue to show this. But as you stated, Mary Beth, Anne Arundel County, Montgomery County, Howard County, these are noted as some of the most affluent counties and some of the best education in the all of the United States. I mean, they're always highly ranked, and we are constantly outperforming those other counties around us and how our students are doing on these high stakes tests. So not only are they accelerating and pushing themselves speed wise, they're also retaining a ton of content at this speed. And that's really a testament to the face-to-face teachers that we have here in the school, but then also our Pearson partners and the virtual teachers through that program as well that are getting us to this point where we can boast these lofty results.
It's fantastic. So tell us a little bit about your kids. I mean, we'd love to hear about what they're saying and how they're feeling about school. We know they don't always love it, but I think you have some good stories.
Yeah, you have a few quotes here, and you'll be able to just kind of read through those quotes as I'm talking. Some of our students, have talked to me both informally and here a little bit more formally about what their experience was like at College Park Academy. I think everybody kind of remembers where they were when all of this started hitting. At College Park Academy, we were one of the first schools, actually Roosevelt, that I noted before. Us and Roosevelt were the first two schools in Prince George's County to shut down for the pandemic. And we were able to turn around because of the work that we've already been doing with Pearson. Students starting in 6th grade, taking virtual courses, and then taking even more virtual courses as they matriculate throughout the middle school and high school, really allowed us to just quickly move into a completely 100% virtual environment. Really, the people who needed the most training was people like me and our face-to-face teachers here at College Park Academy. but we were able to flip it around really quick too, just because of our partnership with Pearson. I think one of the things that we're very, very proud of too at College Park Academy in using what we used throughout the pandemic was the live lesson module within Pearson, which was available at the time. Our social emotional learning that we were able to do with the students. So our counselors were constantly available. Our math coach was constantly available for our students. Principals, administration were constantly available for our students. And you can see that some of our students, not only were they talking about the subjects and how well they were able to keep up, some students even doing better virtually than they did in person. They were also really happy to have those wraparound services that are so easy to offer in person, because you can see a student if they look upset. We were able to really reach a lot of kids still through using the platform. So we just were really proud of how we navigated through COVID, and having a great partner like Pearson helped us do that.
Well, and I think, the students' academic achievements pre-COVID show the success, and then just your continued offering of these advanced courses and the student success that they're seeing. I'm excited to see your next round of test scores.
We are too.
I think they're going to speak for themselves.
We're excited.
Well, thank you both. Thank you both for sharing all this great information. I want to transition for a second and talk a little bit about kind of big picture. Pearson partners with more than 500 districts across the country in helping them launch, expand, evolve their virtual programs. And we wanted to see, we hear so much about the COVID slide and this negativity of virtual education and how kids are really struggling. And we know that's the case, but we wanted to see what that looked like with students that were enrolled in Pearson supported virtual schools. And we found that our children actually outperformed the national sample during COVID. Wall Street Journal just had an article at the end of August saying this was the worst student performance in decades. Like, it's terrible. So the press is still out there with some very disparaging news, but I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Walters from Pearson, who's going to talk about what we found with some of our students.
Great. Thanks, Mary Beth. Yeah, like you said, when we started to hear about the COVID slide, we needed to look at how kids at Pearson supported virtual schools across the whole country were performing, relative to these trends. And we focused on data coming out of a couple of prominent national studies by NWEA and also Renaissance Learning. And first, as you can see on the slide, first we saw that while students at the national level were experiencing a 5 to 10 percentile point decline in math during COVID, students at Pearson supported schools actually improved in both math and reading during that same time period. And then on the next slide, when we, let's see, Mary Beth, do you want to jump us to the next? Oh, I'm sorry, you're there. So I was like, what? Then when we flashed forward to that following spring of 2021, Renaissance reported that, kids were starting to make some gains, thankfully. But despite that, national performance, which is in the green bar, was still lagging behind expected performance, which is in the light gray. And expected performance just means how kids have done in years past, how we expect them to perform, essentially. But again, students at the Pearson supported schools not only outperformed expected performance, but also the national student sample. So we were thrilled, and we're just continue to be incredibly proud of the schools and the students that we get to support. So thanks, Mary Beth.
I think that what this does, I think the two stories, right? The example from College Park Academy, what happened with our students pre-COVID in a blended model, and then even during COVID, how they continued to support their students, coupled with the data that Dr. Walters just provided, we at Pearson are really trying to show that students can thrive in virtual schools. Students that are part of our virtual model can be successful academically, even during a pandemic. We are so proud of what we do with our district partners across the country who've chosen to partner with us to give the students in their district an alternative way to learn. And it's really more than just that medically fragile student. It's the students who are balancing work and family, the students who maybe were bullied or have tremendous anxiety and just are uncomfortable in a building and need an alternative way to learn. or some that just learn that they simply like to work in the quiet of their own home. There really is a need for, and there is a success in virtual learning. So we hope that you take that away today. We love hearing from our customers, so we're really grateful for Dr. Abu Arja and Mr. Baker in joining us. And what I'd love to do now is just kind of open it up to Q&A. Audrey, do we have any questions that you see submitted? My colleague Audrey Harrell is on to kind of help us work the chat. Let's see. I think we had one that I think we had two sent directly to the panelists. So the first one is, it was really interesting to hear about the blended program at CPA. Does Pearson have a program to support fully virtual students? Absolutely. I'll answer that. Absolutely, we do. We work with school districts, whether they have students that want to be fully virtual or if they have students that want to take a course that isn't offered in their traditional high school catalog. Pearson can support them in that capacity. We have content certified teachers across the country that work with students in a full-time capacity, in an individual course capacity. We also work with districts to train their teachers to be able to teach their students. We know that many districts have resources available to provide that instruction. They just don't have the content or an infrastructure to do so. So we absolutely can support districts in that way. This was another one. Steve, DA Steve, is there a way that you can take Audrey off of mute? She cannot get herself off mute.
Yes, let me do that.
Thank you. The second question was that I saw that came in. College Park has the ability to support struggling students hands-on since they're in person, but what about the students who are learning 100% at home and struggle, or maybe students that have an IEP plan? Steve, I'll let you take that first, and then I'll talk about it from Pearson's perspective, but I'm sure you have some students that have IEPs or 504s. You want to talk a little bit about that, and then I'll chime in?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that. So we're a public charter school in Prince George's County, and we accept all students. So we have English language learners, we have students with IEPs, we have students with 504 plans. What's really, really nice about the Pearson platform for us is that we can take the information that we develop or that we inherit from these IEPs and 504 plans, and we can put them right into the platform so that it's shared with the virtual teachers, the success coaches, the face-to-face teachers, and obviously we keep that information still safe. It's only shared with the people who it needs to be shared with. But if students have certain supplemental aids, if they have extended time, what we've been able to do is and what Pearson has done for us is they've created ways for us to put settings in place to support these students. So if Steve, for example, is a sixth grader and I get time and a half on work, you can set specific due dates for these students that is not publicly shown to everybody else, that Steve has a further due date due to that accommodation for the student. So we have that, and that's a huge help to us. And then obviously we also support all of that work with our face-to-face special education teachers that are in the building as well, making modifications as needed and whatever the IEP calls for. But yeah, we're able to, with this platform as well as the staff that we have, support IEP students, 504 students, ELL students. Yeah, we have students from all over, a very diverse student group at College Park Academy.
Yep, thank you. And I would say the same is true for, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to add, I think
Sorry,
for students, you can hide assignments or accelerate students so that you can, differentiate for those students. Some people can just demonstrate it in one go. Others need additional support, so you can hide or show different assignments for different students.
That's a great point too. From a Pearson perspective, when our teachers are providing instruction to those students, we absolutely make those types of accommodations. And in fact, we have a webinar that we're hosting next week featuring two of our leaders in our special populations team, as well as a customer of ours from Tennessee who has been collaborating with us to support her special population students. So I'm sure as a follow-up, you attendees will receive some info on that webinar. But there really are a lot of things that we can do. And what we see is that there are a lot of students in our programs that are students with IEPs and 504s. This is a great flexible program to provide that level of support and that level of flexibility and accommodations for students that may not be able to be accommodated as well in a brick and mortar. Audrey? Oh, I think you're muted again.
You should be there, Audrey.
No? Okay.
Hmm.
That's okay.
Well, we do have a few other questions that came in. I'll just ask them a little while ago. So one of our attendees were asking that they'd love to hear some details about the summer program that catches students up so that they're not as behind when they start ninth grade.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that from College Park Academy's perspective, and then Mary Beth, I'll turn it over to you for Pearson. But what we do is we give all of our students that are coming to us, whether they're starting in sixth grade with us or if they're starting, going into high school and ninth grade with us, we give diagnostic testing at the beginning of the summer program. So right around the holiday, right around the 4th of July, and then we create specific learning paths for each of those students to achieve goals that we want them to achieve before the next grade, whether that be sixth or ninth grade. We do that. We've had a lot of success, and then I'll let Mary Beth take it over from here, kind of pass the baton to her with this. We've had a lot of success over the summer with the Pearson Summer Smarts program when we're creating our learning paths. And that's something that we've used in the past with our middle school students as well as our high school students to prepare them for the next course or for the next grade level. So that's kind of just the 30,000-foot view. But certainly, to get more specific on that, I think our contact information will be shared too. Feel free to reach out for more specifics about the specific things we do in person. But yeah, Mary Beth, if you want to talk a little bit about your summer offerings.
Sure. Yeah. So Steve touched upon this briefly. However, we do offer a traditional summer program, which you would expect to be a high school credit recovery program. However, there are a lot of additional options available for students through Pearson. Original credit courses with an instructor, original credit courses without an instructor, and then the Summer Smarts program that Steve referenced. It's a K-8 program for reading and math. And it's kind of a combination of a mini credit recovery / personalized program for students. So they're prescribed content based on some of the work that they do initially. So it's a bit of a personalized approach, but it gives the students a chance to learn a little independently on their own, as well as engage with Pearson certified teachers a few times during the week in some live classroom settings. It's fun, it's animated, it's gamey. The kids can earn points for doing certain things. They can use those points to purchase clothing for their avatar on the platform or donate to a charity of their choice, which I think is fantastic. But it's a 9-week program. It allows the students to just keep active because we know that there's a lot of learning loss during the summer, especially in those younger grades. So it's a reading and math program, and I'm sure we'll share some additional information out with you all, but it is fantastic and it's kind of fun. The kids really like it. And it keeps them active, keeps them engaged, keeps their brain going.
And another thing that we've recently introduced, this is our second year, is we host a boot camp for the students to learn how to maneuver around the platform. So students get to come in. The majority of our entry is grade 6. So Mr. Baker and his team create fun community building activities around them learning the platform so that the beginning of the school year is not technical issues, so that they can get familiar with that.
That's a great point too, Sandy. I think it's important that the kids are prepared when they enter into a virtual program. We actually work with districts to host family information sessions, a virtual info session where we kind of walk them through the platform and get them prepared for the start of school. A lot of new families think this is very overwhelming, and we want to give them all the support that they need to make sure they're ready for the start of school. So I love the concept of a boot camp. That's great. Someone asked about the data and what was done logistically and day to day to keep students attending and engaged during COVID. From a Pearson perspective, I'll speak, and then Mr. Baker, if you want to speak as well. Our teachers host live instructional classes each week for our content. And so, especially for those elementary students, they're meeting nearly daily, sometimes twice a day, online with their teachers and their peers, as well as learning independently, both online and offline. So from a Pearson perspective, I think it's about variety. They're not sitting in front of a computer all day long. There are offline activities, whether they're reading a novel or they're working on a handwriting exercise, as well as online activities where they're working independently or they're in an online classroom. The content itself is very dynamic. It is not a PDF that the kids are clicking through. There are drag and drop activities, there are videos, there are multiple choice. There's lots of engagement for all different types of learning styles. So I think that's really critical when you think about the content online. It's got to be engaging. It's got to be intriguing. It can't be, overwhelming to a student to digest. And they have to be able to walk away, whether that's for fun or to do something offline in terms of academics. So I think the balance of online and offline, the live activities, the independent activities, and honestly, the flexibility of learning, whether they want to go outside for an hour and run around. I remember just hearing all the kids in the neighborhood home during COVID, and I loved hearing that they were taking a break from the insanity and going outside and just clearing their heads a little bit. Maybe having those breaks helped them do a little bit better as opposed to sitting for 6 hours in a classroom or sitting in a brick and mortar building. So I think there's a lot that from our perspective that Pearson does. Mr. Baker, do you want to talk a little bit about kind of how you kept, how your activities kept students engaged?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Mary Beth. So for us, it was incentives. Like I had to keep convincing them that they were definitely going to be coming back to school at some point. So was giving them dress down day passes from when they would come back for attendance. We had something on a daily basis at our school called Lunch Bunch, where our students would, after they were done with class, they would come and they would meet with our student advocates, and they would just get a chance to chill, relax, and talk. If we remember like the darkest times from COVID, there were a lot of people who weren't sending their kids outside to hang out with others in the neighborhood and that kind of thing. So this gave them an online but offline time to get together with each other. And then when we came back in person, I do a whole bunch of things with attendance, like pizza with the principal each month. If you're a student who attends regularly, doesn't have tardies, just giving as many incentives as I possibly can for daily attendance, because you're right, whomever asked that question, that attendance is huge. If they're not in class, if we're not able to assess them, we do not know what they need help with. So always incentivizing attendance, whether it be virtual or in person, is huge. I just think just come up with as many tools in your tool belt for incentives. You got to keep changing it up because the kids want different things. But one piece of advice that I would give that we've done a lot of this year is just polling your students, creating a Google form, poll your students, see what they want.
I think that's great. I love that. And that's, one of the things about just taking a different flexible approach is learning what your students need. And the great thing about the Pearson platform is that there is a ton of data in the platform. So you can see as a whole where students might be struggling, or even individually where students might be struggling. And there's a lot of opportunity for personalization, personalized learning in a virtual environment versus in a classroom. So again, those students that might need something unique compared to the rest of the class can still be supported in this type of environment, which is again why I think it can create some consistent numbers that appear a little bit higher than maybe the rest of the country. So I think we've covered all the questions in the chat. Just reading through here. I don't see any other questions. Well, I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for our team from College Park Academy. Thank you for Dr. Walters from Pearson for joining us today. And we're really grateful. We hope that you've seen some successes from the virtual school perspective, from the blended learning environment. We believe that this is a tremendous way for students who need an alternative to learn and to be successful. And we know that students can thrive. We've seen it. We see the data. We hear from customers. This is just one example. We are hosting a series of webinars over the next, really through the school year. We'll continue to share that with you as attendees. Our next one next week is about special populations, as I shared. Then we're going to talk about elementary in November. So we're really grateful for the opportunity to meet with you all today. Our contact information is thrown up here. If anyone wants to reach out and has further questions, please feel free to do so. We're happy to share. We love what we do, and we're really grateful for all that you do as attendees and leaders in the education industry. So thank you so much, and we hope you have a great day. Bye, everybody.
Hi. Yeah, definitely. I just want to say, as I go through my closing slides in just a few moments, I just want to let everyone know that if there are any other questions that come to mind as I go through those closing slides, please feel free to enter them into the chat, and we at DA will make sure that they're sent over to Pearson so that they can get to your questions after the event. But first off, thank again to all of you, Sandy, Stephen, Alyssa, and Mary Beth, for your time here today. And of course, thank you to Pearson. Also, I'd just like to take a minute to thank you, our audience, for joining us here today. For those of you, who really enjoyed what you saw here, you'll be pleased to know there are many more upcoming web seminars like this one that we will be providing here at District Administration over the coming weeks. At DA, which is the leader in editorial coverage of news, trends, and current issues in K through 12. We have a wide range of readers who they subscribe for free to us at DA, and they stay up to date with us in our print magazine, also in our online publication. We have newsletters and web seminars like this one. Also, if you would like to watch this web seminar again, or for those of you who believe that what you saw here today would be helpful to your colleagues, and I'm sure that is the case, you'll be pleased to know that our team at DA, we will be sending you an email at some point in the coming days. And in that email, it will include an on-demand recording of this web seminar, as well as a link to the slides that you saw here today. So with that, on behalf of DA, this is Stephen Blackburn. Thanks, everyone. Take care, be well, and stay safe. Thank you very much, everyone.